Okay, so thanks everybody for the invitation to talk to you today. And again, it's a great privilege to be back here and speak in front of everybody, colleagues, past colleagues and friends, and just to show you how successful Breath has been, not just as a research project, but as a program that has allowed everybody to advance their careers in more than just a scientific way. Brief background about my career. I did my degree, an undergraduate degree at Queen's University Belfast. During my undergraduate degree, I spent a year in the University of Nevada, Reno, before moving to DkIT, where I spent 12 or 13 sort of glorious years as a postdoctoral research fellow, with the last contract being under the Breath program. And in July of 2021, I took up a position with Novartis. And when we talk about Breath, we look at this word cloud, and some of the words associated with the Breath program are outreach, science, multidisciplinary, multi-center, collaborative, etc., clinical research. But for me, these words are all very important and all sum up Breath. But for me, Breath's more than just this collection of adjectives. It's probably the best training program that I've been on. And I think that's sort of very apparent in the success if you look at the posters on what all the PhD students have gone on to do. And Breath has been a fabulous training program. And it's not just the scientific techniques that we all picked up. Of course, we all learned new techniques, be it molecular biology, electrophysiology, some learned how to do Western blots, etc. But it's the all-encompassing sort of transferable skills we pick up on a research project like this that really rounds us as individuals and allows us to go on and sort of pursue careers in academia or outside of academia. And if you think about the scientific sort of skills, there's protocol design. It's writing those experimental design, writing up protocols. When we do our experiments, looking at the data, looking at it as a global picture, analysing that data with a critical eye, with a scientific eye, and making sense of that data. As often, it's usually the outliers or the most interesting data points that we find. The Breath project allowed us to increase our skills in scientific writing through either writing papers for publication or writing our PhD thesis if you're one of the PhD students, and going through this peer review process, and again, acting as peer reviewers. So again, all these skills really rounding us as individuals. And again, being able to stand up and communicate and present successfully are all really good takeaway skills. But not only that, Breath also allowed us to hone in on our soft skills, our time management, our project management, teamwork, networking, conflict resolution, and all these things. Yeah, sure, they look good in your CV, but do you really think that they're going to be beneficial when you go into the workplace? But they really are, and these are skills that I have found since taking up a position in industry are really, really essential in becoming sort of successful in a future career. And when I was looking for a role after academia, I looked within industry, and some of the roles that were open to me within Novartis, based on the skill set that I had developed through Breath, were clinical scientific expert, scientific writer, regulatory affairs, trial management, data management, being part of a scientific review committee, or medical science liaison. There's a whole, that's only to name a few, but there's a whole range of careers within the pharmaceutical industry that are open to us based on the skills that we picked up from going through the Breath program. And I picked up and started on a role as clinical scientific expert with Novartis, and I work within the therapeutic unit of cardiorenal metabolic. And the trial that I'm involved on is with a drug called inclisiran, or it's marketed as Leqvio. Traditionally, in order to treat high cholesterol, statins have been the go-to drug for a number of years, and they're relatively successful, but it means taking a tablet every day, and there's awful low compliance. Inclisiran is a siRNA that can be given once every 6 months and has the same effect in lowering statin, actually more successful than the current statin treatments. So I'm involved in designing protocols and writing protocols in order to get inclisiran to market in a number of territories. And if you look at the higher level of my job title, it's to provide clinical insight into clinical trial data. But I've listed a few things here that make up my job description. It's protocol design, designing that clinical trial protocol. It's designing databases that allow us to collect all the relevant data, all of the safety biomarkers, all of the data that we can use for future analysis. And when the trial's up and running then, there's clinical data review, looking for protocol deviations, spotting trends in adverse events or serious adverse events. So looking at safety concerns, are we seeing an increase in diabetes in these patients? Are we seeing an increase in liver events, etc., in these patients? So spotting those safety concerns earlier. And then finally, writing a clinical study report and liaising with the regulatory authorities, be it the FDA or the EMA, etc., in order to get this drug to market. And you can see here that these lists of sort of roles that I do on a daily basis all really tie into that scientific career that I had before, and the skills that I picked up within Breath. And again, part of Breath was this industrial collaboration and collaboration with other sites and clinicians. And this really gave me a good footing into going into the industry, where I'm working with an international team of medics, statisticians, managers, programming, safety, etc. And being able to converse with them in a level is something that I got through the Breath program. Being able to go to international conferences, speak to clinicians, speak to experts, and have that confidence to go from a small academic lab to a large multinational corporation with 100,000 plus employees. And I wouldn't have been able to get this role in industry without the help and support of the Breath program and my mentors within DkIT. And so with that, I'd like to thank Interreg and SUPB for the funding. And again, thank all my colleagues and everybody who's collaborated with me through the Breath program. Thank you.